Okay, so what I'm going to show you today, and what Jake is going to show you today, is how physical changes and chemical changes occur in cooking, which is a real life thing. So what's going to happen? A physical change, first of all, can be described as matter just changing from one form to another without forming a completely new substance. However, a chemical change, it occurs when matter suddenly reacts with another substance to create a wholly different substance that has its atoms rearranged.
For our project for showing chemical and physical change, we need a cup of flour, 8 tablespoons of butter, 1.5 teaspoons of vanilla, a cup of sugar, 1 egg, half teaspoon of baking soda, 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and 1 cup of chocolate chips. We need to mix. First, we are going to mix the dry ingredients. And then butter. So I put the egg in, and then next we're going to put the butter in and mix it. Then we're going to put the vanilla in. Now I'm going to put the chocolate chips in. Now the cookie dough is ready to be baked in the oven at 190 degrees Celsius. The cookie has been baking for about 4 minutes. It has to bake for about another 45 minutes. The cookies have been baking for about 4 to 5 minutes. It has to bake for another 4 to 5 minutes, a total of 10 minutes. After 10 minutes, the dough transformed into the cookie. This is an example of chemical change.
Okay, so what just happened was that the cookies went through both physical and chemical changes. So the physical change was that the ingredients were all mixed together. Well, ingredients or substances such as butter, chocolate chips, or sugar. And these materials were mixed together, but they did not necessarily form a new substance, and atoms weren't rearranged, so therefore this was not a chemical change, but it was a physical change. And now, when the cookies were baking, something called the Maillard reaction was happening. And then that indicated how sugars and proteins were protein molecules were reacting together in the cookies when heat was applied, and they were reacting so that the cookie would turn brown and that the cookie would taste good in our mouths. So we can see that this is a chemical change because new substances were formed from the sugar and protein reaction that made the cookie brown. So what's happening here is that again we're trying to test out the Maillard reaction or the browning reaction, and this occurs when heat is applied to a certain organic compound or substance, and then the sugars and proteins in that substance react together to form to make that substance brown. And the sugars in organic chemistry are also specifically the carbonyl sugars, and these are a group of sugars that are formed when there's an individual carbon atom double bonded to an oxygen atom, and it's very common in these types of organic substances. So we can see here that the meat is starting to turn brown because these carbonyl sugars are reacting with the proteins in that meat with the given heat. So therefore this meat is starting to turn brown, and when we flip it over, the other side looks brown too. So therefore we have just proven another effect of the Maillard reaction, and it can be shown through many things like the previous cookies or this meat too. What we're trying to do here is to get aluminum and hydrochloric acid to react together. Now, it is widely known that aluminum completely dissolves in hydrochloric acid due to a chemical reaction. Now, what makes a chemical reaction different from a physical change? So, in a chemical reaction, atoms are rearranged and a totally new substances are formed. So in the case of this reaction, we're going to see that aluminum and hydrochloric acid produce a gas called aluminum chloride and also diatomic hydrogen gases. But here's a fun fact. Now, the conservation of mass theory states that matter is not created or destroyed over the course of a chemical reaction. So let us keep in mind that what we are seeing here is actually just atoms being rearranged, not new atoms being made. So what's happening right now is that the aluminum is starting to fizz, and this is because it's starting to react violently with the hydrochloric acid that it's in. And the formula for this reaction is 2Al plus 6HCl, or 2 aluminum plus 6 hydrogen chloride or hydrochloric acid equals 2 aluminum chloride gas molecules and 3 diatomic hydrogens, or 3H2. And this states that the reaction between aluminum and hydrochloric acid yields hydrogen gas and aluminum chloride in effect.